I'm Professor Ziggy, and today we're going to talk a little bubble hash with Bubble Man. How are you doing today, Bubble Man?
I'm feeling pretty good. Very bubbled.
Excellent. I've been looking at your product, and I think I've done a hash thing in the past, and now that you've got your little bubble hash video, I thought I'd do a little discussion here with you. And first, I'd just like to say there's a number of books out there that you can find this information in. This is an old book from 1973, and it's everywhere out there. You can find it. It's basically, this is an electron scanning microscope of a trichome, and that's what we're aiming for with water hash. And there's a very grainy little black and white picture, and has a line diagram. Okay, and this is a cross-section of a bract. It's just the top of the gland that you want, just the resin. The rest of the gland and the rest of the cellular matter, it's nothing but cells, and there's very little THC in the cells. Most of the THC is contained within the resin glands. And as a medical marijuana user, I tell you, I don't want to be smoking a lot of this innocuous material, all the other carbon, cellulose, and other stuff in there. I want to be smoking just the resin glands. The most punch for the least amount of work and the least amount of lung tissue. And if you have delicate, sensitive lungs and cough a lot, that's probably because you've been smoking all this other stuff. Now here's what the hash will turn out like on this little page here. It should turn out nice and sticky and very clean. It shouldn't be fibrous at all. When you tear it apart, it shouldn't come out with chunks. And in the pipe, it should just bubble away on its own and not really ignite, but just bubble. And very little residue left behind. You'll get a very white, very nothing ash left because there's not a lot of debris or carbon material in there to burn. It's nothing but THC molecules with a little tiny bit of binder. And so, Bubble Man, these bags, you make these bags, and
yeah, well,
have
we've
these bags available on online?
We've got them available, yeah. There'll be a link at the end of the Bubble video. I think it's probably to my email address, which is dutchtripper@hotmail. And
we'll link that for sure.
Yeah, I've got two kits that I sell. I sell a 6-bag kit and a 3-bag kit. One is sort of the initial 3-bag kit. It gives you all the bags that you need to separate the trichomes. It gives you, actually I could open it up and show you.
Let's have a look.
Show you the original 3 bags.
The mesh sizes and the types of bags and why we have different types of bags for different strains of marijuana.
Well, right off the bat, you get a pressing screen, which is for water hash, it's pretty important. You know, it's you don't want to be pressing. This is a 73 micron screen, and you don't want to really have to be pressing the materials in your bag. The first time I turned on to water bags, I was told that to just press it in my filter bag. This is the same size as my #1 filter bag. I'll get to that in a little bit. My #1 bag that I use to isolate the trichome heads is I've got them all sort of color coded as well, so it's yeah, and as well on the inside of the bag, every bag should have a little number with the micron size. This particular one is a 220.
Wow.
Now 220, a lot of people that are used to dry sieving get very surprised when they hear 220. That's huge. You know, like for instance, the pollinator machine uses a 150 micron.
Right.
You don't need a huge screen. But this particular screen is for water hash, so we're using gravity and density. We're not using, and we're only separating the heads. So this here is a 220, and what's going to happen, as you know, when you fill it up with the water and the ice, that the heads are going to, these little bulbous heads only, because they're dense, they're still affected by gravity in the water. Yeah. So they're going to sink down and they're going to fall right through this screen. The cellular material, the capitate stalk and the cystolith hairs, they're so light that they float, as well as all your leaf. It's all going to float.
Plant matter.
And also, if you've got mold in your materials, that will as well float. And I'll mention another way, just in case if you do have mold and you're a medical user, I'll show you a way at the end to check for it, to make sure that there's no mold in your product, because I know that that's something that medical people want to stay away from. So that's the work bag. I call that a work bag because that's the bag I do my blending in. So that's in the 3-bag kit. You'll get that bag. You'll get the pressing screen, and then you'll get your filter bag, which is the yellow bag, which is a 73 micron, and then I've got it right there on the bag, 73 micron. So it's good for people. In the past, the screen sizes have confused a lot of people because in the European countries where I get my screen from, the screen is measured in microns, but here in the silk screen in North America, yeah, in the silk screen shops, they mention it. They have it formed in lines per inch. So most people know it by. They think 100 micron screen is 100 micron, but it's 100 lines per inch, which is about 150 microns. But we'll get to that in a little bit. So this is your first filter bag. This is what this hash came out of right here. This particular gooey stuff was made with a strain called the Rene. And it's an indica sativa cross, but I think the indica is dominant in it, and that the heads are very bulbous and big. I get, say if I get 3.5 grams of this in this bag, I'll usually get about 30% of that yield in my second filter bag.
Secondary.
And here's my secondary filter bag right here. I'll move the 73. To this day, the 73 is still my favorite. A lot of people, including Trichome Technologies, states that this bag is pointless. They say there's nothing active under 25 micron, under the 73 micron range. But I have to disagree because I've smoked it and I've seen.
Do you find different strains? The more sativa it is, the smaller the resin gland is.
Well, I haven't really boiled it down yet because I've seen a lot of different things happen. I've seen my friend come over with material that was indica that I would have guessed mostly the 73 would have stopped everything. He had bounced it 3 times already over a dry sieve. And when he brought it to me, I got him, I can't remember what the initial yield was out of the first filter bag, but I remember the second filter bag was 60%. Yeah. I had not seen. I usually got 30% with the Rene. Right. But even at 30% on a low end, this screen is definitely worth it. And this is what sets bubble bags apart from any other bag system out there. The fact that you get a second screen, and that, I've had people say, well, why don't you just forget about the 73 micron and just go right to the 25 and it'll be cheaper. Well, because I like to keep my grades separate.
Exactly.
And that brings us into the 3 other bags in the 6-bag kit. So that right there, what I just showed, was the 3-bag kit. You get the 2 filter bags, you get the work bag, and you get your pressing screen and the pouch that it comes in.
And the pressing screen's for after the hash is done.
Yeah. I should mention as well that the 25 micron screen hash, the second filter, should never go in this screen.
No, never.
It'll press right through. I dry that by leaving it out on a plate, and I'll just dry it out into powder that way. Never put the 25 micron in here because it'll come through your screen and you'll never get it.
Never
clean.
be able to.
It'll never come
the
off.
Screen, you'll never get it clean.
So here's these 3 additional bags in the 6-bag kit are for people that want to. Not only do they want, the reason I like the 2 filter bags is that I can separate my grades of trichomes. Well, these 3 bags are all for working, they're all for blending, but what they're going to do is they're going to allow us to, for the red bag, this is not me in any way, shape, or form, but this is a 250 micron. This is the biggest screen. This is also a 53% opening. All my bags are 43% opening, and that's, not to get too complicated, but that basically is in accordance to the diameter of the thread.
Exactly.
If the diameter of the thread is smaller, you get a bigger opening on the screen. And this particular stuff has a very thin diameter of thread. So this is my commercial bag. This is going to give you high yields, but it's not going to come out super gummy and beautiful. It'll still be really nice. It's essential because there are certain people, like say people with glaucoma, that want to just relieve ocular pressure, but they don't want to get baked out of their tree.
Exactly.
They'll want to smoke this hash. Some of them. Maybe there'll be some of glaucoma patients that enjoy a nice high with relieving their ocular pressure, but it's good to have the band. Just because I'm a chronic, I don't think I should only offer what's the best. I like to have the whole end of the stick.
And
so that's commercial.
By having the different grades, you'll get different levels, and there's less wastage. In between, you'll find different levels of different grades, basically, so that by the end of the day, you might want to smoke the higher grade, but at the beginning of the day, if you just want to a little high to help digest your meal or relieve the ocular pressure or whatever you're trying to do with it, you can smoke a lesser grade and then slowly work your way up. Tolerance levels are funny like that. If you start off at the beginning of the day smoking your best stuff, by the end of the day it's hard to get a little high and get the same effect.
Yeah, it's nice to have the range.
The range, totally.
This is a 250 micron, by the way. I'm not sure if I mentioned that earlier.
Great size for quick if you've got a large volume as well. To process it and get it processed quickly, use the 250. Yeah,
you're going to get a higher quantity, for sure. And then I've got over here, I go up to my indoor. This is for, say when I made this stuff, I made this with a 220, the original bag, the blue bag.
Right.
If I wanted to even improve the quality on this, believe it or not, I could have by running it through this bag, which is my indoor work bag, and it's 190 micron screen. It's not very legible. They've kind of stamped it on backwards on this one. But this one is 190, and a little smaller than the 220,
Right.
a little closer to the pollinator screen size, and it's going to. I found that a friend of mine on the internet, bushy old grower guy, he used this bag one time out of bigger leaves that he had. He wanted to keep the quality higher than the quantity.
Yeah.
So he used this particular bag and got a really, really nice product with it, surprisingly.
Still get a really good yield, but you get a really nice product.
Yeah, a really nice product. You're going to lower your yield a little bit. You're going to keep out a few little things. And then this one here, this one is very closer still to the pollinator size. This is a 160. This would give you. I would not run this bag with a lot of material. No. I would run material that are very old, you know, that's been in someone's barn
very
for a year and a half, very dry. You know, if you're,
yeah.
say you're in a country like Morocco or Lebanon and you have access to something that's very old, very well cured,
yeah.
and also mostly outdoor. This is a 160 micron, so with anything other than that, you're going to get extremely low yields.
Yeah.
So,
as the resin glands do age, over time they will shrink. The older the pot, the older the gland, the
sure will.
moisture slowly shrinks out of it, and the gland itself, the cells will collapse in, and that's why we're talking for older stuff. You want the smaller, finer mesh